1st of June being just around the corner puts me in a bit of a summer mood, so therefore I changed the home screen skin as well. Welcome folks, it's time to take a look at the upcoming set for Global as usual, set 16 if I'm not mistaken. So this set is, to some people it might seem like sleep, you know, on the cover there's like Bermuda and you know there's stuff like Reverse Maelstrom and it's like, yeah, they're pretty meta impactful, but people kind of were like, oh, this set's pretty skippable. However, this set has lookier stuff, and the lookier stuff kind of made the deck arguably one of the best in the entire game, and therefore got kind of nerfed later on. Or it's actually getting nerfed tomorrow in JP for set, like the second set of Legion. I always lose track of like which set we're on, like set 19 I think is going to be. So yeah, in 3 sets later, this will get nerfed, but I think the nerf won't kill the deck. It's going to just make it, you know, kind of on par with the other things that are like, you know, both pre-Legion and in Legion. We'll see how much like set 19 impacts the game as well, but you know, that's for at the end of the month, at the end of next month. But so today we're going to be talking about the actual clans that are supported in this set, which I believe are Bermuda, Pale Moon, Aqua Force, and Dimension Police. So also Daikaiser got like a wave of support, but sadly that's not the good wave. The good wave is the one with the true Daikaiser, the Legion, and also Metal Boy is also a really good wave for, you know, just DP in general. So it's a pretty like hit or miss set. I definitely agree that it's not like the best for everyone. So let's take a look at, you know, the order of appearance. I think Pale Moon might be the first thing that comes up here. For some reason it took me to Nubatama, and I hate BlueStacks, man. This thing is buggy as hell. Actually no, Dimension Police will be the first thing we take a look at. Alright, that works out pretty well. So there was no new starters, there's barely any new cards to be honest. You know, the one new grade 1 that came out was the Dimensional Robo Kaiser Greater. So Kaiser Greater's effect is if your Vanguard is Kaisard, which is the grade 2 like thing that becomes Daikaiser, you know, by combining with Kaiser Greater, you can put him into the soul to search your deck for a Daikaiser and write it. So this card was actually used purely because you could just write up early, you know, if in the Daikaiser variant of the deck, which I did do a deck and fight on, you can basically just write up early and then kind of like bash face. Sadly, writing up early doesn't really do too much in general in the game right now. This might be used in the Metalborg variant, like with Sinbuster, to like make sure you're safely sitting on Daikaiser before you break right into Sinbuster, to have that kind of like guard restrict plus the ability to pop your opponent's like double PGs and like just like nuke their hand when that combo attacks. So might be played later on as well, so I think it's, you know, just a rare, so it's pretty easy to pick up, nothing to really stress about. Then here, I'm not sure, was Barrett, was that in this set? Was in the previous set? I can't fully remember. I think it might have been this set. So his skill is just in case, right? Bigger Circle, put him into the soul to give your Vanguard plus 4k. And in the soul, if your Vanguard is Dimensional Robo, count plus 1, put him into the drop zone to give your Vanguard the skill that when it's heck hit, you can pop an opponent's rear guard. So it's a pretty good effect. It just gives you the power up so you can hit the numbers for Dayusha, so it's pretty nice in Dayusha Turbo. On top of that, it's also nice to give that little field control to the deck. You do have to count plus 1 forward, and the deck already counterbots quite a bit, so it's not super useful, but it's good here and there. And of course, you can't pop the opponent's interceptors because you have to attack with your rear guards first into them before attacking with the Vanguard. But if there's pesky grade 1s or stuff in the back that you want to get rid of, then it's pretty good. I hope this card wasn't in the previous set because then I can look like a dummy, but sometimes you have to fill those shoes, you know, fill that role. Then, grade 3s, we have Shadow Kaiser. So of course, break 4 on Vanguard, gains 5k when it attacks the Vanguard. But then the second skill on rear guard circle is the main important part of this card. If your Vanguard is, you know, Super Dimensional Robo Daikaiser, then you can put him into the soul to search your deck for an ultimate Dimensional Robo Great Daikaiser and write it, and then you choose a grade 3 from your drop zone and put it back to the deck. So what's cool about this is that, yes, it does take out a trigger from your deck technically because it searches out the Great Daikaiser, but it puts one back in exchange. So if your Great Daikaiser is your draw and you have something else on a heal, then you can put back that heal and basically just heal again, you know, during a turn. It's like kind of like premature Legion, being able to put back triggers from drop zone. Very nice. So this card is run in the Great Daikaiser deck itself, otherwise not so much, but it's always been like that. You know, this card has always been in that sort of situation, I guess is how we can put that. Then we have Diard, which is the first triple rare for the set for Dimension Police. This card was used quite a lot for a very long time actually in Dimension Police because it was pretty versatile, especially for its limit break, which says you can put a Dimensional Robo rear guard into your soul to search your deck for any grade 3 Dimensional Robo and write it, and for that turn give it 5k power, and then choose a grade 3 from your drop zone, put it back to your deck. So that put back a grade 3 from your drop zone back to the deck is actually a new thing that's a buff to this card as well, but it's nice because you can convert virtually anything, you know, on your field into just basically correcting your ride. So people play this card, you know, just to like use him to go into the Legion Daikaiser, for example, because then it will give you enough Dimensional Robos in the soul, because you'd be part of that Dimensional Robo count for the soul. So he's not a bad card at all. I think he's definitely pretty decent in basically like ride fixing, which is kind of nice, you know, for this deck especially. Second skill is when attacks in the Vanguard circle, if his power was 15k or higher before the attack, then he gets +1 crit, which is also quite nice, because you can basically just, he's like a Dayusha with 11k, right? Except that he's not Dayusha, so you don't get cross-ride status off him on Great Dayusha, but, you know, he's still a pretty nice card. He means well. Let's just put it that way. He means well. And I think he could be used in the future. So don't feel bad if you pull him. And then, of course, the man of the show, Ultimate Dimensional Robo Great Daikaiser. So he has been changed a fair bit in order to fit, you know, Zero terms, because +1 drive was a pretty cool thing in the TCG, but in Zero it's like, yeah, it's okay, it's alright. So of course, you know, keep in mind this is a cross ride with a regular Daikaiser, and therefore when you break ride over it, you kind of like get cross ride and break ride at the same time. Therefore you get that like double perfect guard skill if you check a grade 3 from Daikaiser. So when he attacks on limb break 4, you can count +2 to draw 1, and then for that battle, drive +1. So that means you try drive check 3 times with him, and therefore you also draw an extra card, because, you know, the drive check doesn't go to your hand unlike the TCG, so it's kind of there to sort of replicate that. And when he attacks, if before the attack he actually had 15k or more power, you countercharge 1. So therefore you're only really counterblasting 1 for this effect. So especially if you were on break ride, then he's on like 23. If you use any sort of power up effect, you know, like die battles or etc., that's also going to be, you know, easy to achieve that kind of skill. So it's pretty easy to achieve. It's pretty easy to get that counter charge. Sometimes it's all you need, but at the same time, like, this skill just doesn't really do enough. I've talked about it in the DifferentFight. This card just doesn't, like, the entire package that they got doesn't really do enough to make Daikaiser good enough on its own. I think Dayusha Turbo was better. Now in Legion, Dayusha Turbo kind of died out just because everyone plays old PGs, and so now it's like, it's hard to really push your opponent to 5 because a lot of people play old PGs in Legion, and I think that, you know, for Dimension place, it's probably going to be the same thing, where people are going to be going back to old PGs. So basically, like, when you play Metalborgs, for example, that guard restrict will be really important in, like, adding to that, I guess. So I don't know, it'll be interesting to try out, you know, Sin Kaiser again. It's been many years since I played it, but yeah, that's the DP support in this set. It really isn't much, just a few cards. You know, if you really are looking forward to DP support, it's going to be in Legion on the second set, so look forward to that. All right, next let's look at Pale Moon. This was a very, very big set for Pale Moon. There's actually a lot of cards that came out for it, so we might be here for a little while, because I mean, just taking a look through it, there's honestly like so many things that came out in this set. Actually, I guess not too many in hindsight. I guess actually a lot of stuff was already there from the previous wave. I guess maybe just mostly grade 1s, but yeah, still quite a few things. So let's take a look at it, you know, real quick here. First things first, there is a new starter, which is the Emil, which is the main starter that everyone uses for Silverthorns in JP. You can put into the soul from your guard circle, and then you can look at the top 5 cards of your deck and put a grade 1s through 3 Silverthorns from among those cards into your soul. So you can choose a grade 1, 2, 3, put it into your soul. You know, grade 3 lets you secure your Lukia Crossride. Grade 2 is like Marichka and Friends, and then grade 1 is like, you know, one of the new cards we're going to take a look at in just a moment, so like Zelma. So of course that's really great. You can also get, like, you know, whatever else you need, like the arena and things like that. All right, then moving on, we have the Brassy Bunny. So this card was in the V series quite useful for Luke here. In the soul, during your turn, when another rearguard is placed from your soul, you can also call this card out of your soul, but if it wasn't at the end of the turn, put it back into the soul. So that's kind of like premature Magia. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. You know, just being able to do those extra combos. I think this card isn't too good right now, but maybe when we get into, like, I don't know if this will be good in the Legion deck, or maybe we have to wait until G. It has a bit of potential, because it's kind of just like soft Magia. And this thing is, when it's placed from the soul and rear circle, soul charge 2. Not too bad, you know, if you, again in Magia, that might be okay. Then this is the Egg Juggler. This card will definitely come back in the future. I think in Legion this was used a fair bit, and then this is also used in G, which is when placed from Soul on the rearguard circle, Soul blasts 1 to draw 1. So it's like a Din Drain, but from Soul, which is pretty good because you often have some kind of like some dead Soul, you know, some cards in Soul you just don't need, don't really care about, and so you can convert them into nice cards and, you know, more draw and stuff like that, and fill up your hand for more combo pieces. So it's pretty good. But of course the biggest highlight for Silverthorns, I think, for Pale Moon as a clan from this set, which actually took them all the way to tier 1 as one of the best decks, is Zelma. So what does Zelma do? She's a purple trapezist exclusively for Silverthorns, and she has 7k power. That's literally the biggest part about her. So rearguard circle when placed, if your Vanguard is a Silverthorn, you can put another rearguard Silverthorn into your soul to choose a card from your soul that is not Zelma, but it is a Silverthorn, and call it. So basically, you know, you've seen plenty of times people go like Marichka hits, and then they call like another Marichka and extend, right? Well, now you can go like Marichka hits, call Zelma. The Zelma skill puts the Marichka that hit into the soul to call her right back out, and you have a 16k attack ready to go into the Vanguard to do Marichka skill again, to call another Zelma out, and then just basically just keep looping, and so swinging. So yeah, this card is really good. It's super important if you're planning to play Pale Moon, if you're planning to play Silverthorns in any caliber, you really need these cards. Like, Silverthorns are so dependent on Zelma, not just in Zero, but in the TCG they were as well. So it just goes without saying, like, this card is really important for this deck. I really can't emphasize that enough in how important it is. For grade 2s, we have the Misdirection. She has the same skill as a Brassy Bunny from Soul. When another rearguard is placed from your Soul during your turn, you can also call this card out from the Soul. And if you do, then at the end of the turn, she goes back to the Soul. So she was used in the TCG for a little bit as well. She's basically just a Magia card, right? Magia cards are very much just like, they pop out and then they pop back into the Soul at the end of the turn. That's like the whole Magia mechanic. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a soft version of that, and it's definitely pretty nice. And then finally, the 2 grade 3s for Pale Moon here. Well, actually not here for that long. I guess this set, really, it's mostly Bermuda, so Bermuda is going to take me a while to go through. Nightmare Doll Carol. So this was a card that got a really nice V-Series retrain. Moving 4 once per turn on Vanguard Circle, can almost 1 and put 2 rearguards into the Soul. If you do, call 2 cards from your Soul. And then when she's boosted, she gains plus 3k on Vanguard Circle. She's 10k power, so that's, you know, 13k plus whatever you boost with. It's okay. It basically lets you recycle your like on place from Soul effects, like we saw just earlier, you know, the Soul Blast 1 to draw 1 and things like that. It's okay, and it lets you kind of tutor, like put dead cards from hand or from field into the Soul to call out better things from Soul. So yes, it is nice. It is a nice card, and I've seen some people run it, but it hasn't really had too much of a splash on the meta. Unfortunately, Nightmare Dolls are still kind of like struggling around here and there. And then, of course, the final card is the Silverthorn Dragon Empress Venus Lukier. So the final form of Lukier in terms of grade 3s until G, and then also there's like 2 strides. So Venus Lukier is like the good version of Lukier. You know, she's like evil as a reverse, and then she comes back as Venus Lukier. So she has a skill, which, you know, she's again a crossfight with regular Lukier, but her skill is definitely, in my opinion, not that great. You know, you want to be using your counterblast in this deck for, you know, Marichka, Ana to extend those combos and go crazy. This skill is very much as like a kind of panic button if you get like field wiped, or if you have like got rushed down and have like a bunch of counterblasts to work with. So Vanguard Circle and break 4 once per turn, counterblast 2, and you can look at the top 2 cards of your deck and put up to 2 Silverthorns from among them into your Soul. Then you choose cards from your Soul that equal to grade 6 or less in total that are Silverthorns and call them. So basically you can call like a 3, 0, that's it, right? Because there's only 1 0 per deck in Vanguard 0. Then you can also call like, I don't know, 5 grade 1s, you know, or 6 grade 1s if you really want to. Then you can also call like 2 2 1 1 0, right? That's another way. Or you can go like 2 1 1 1 1, right? That also works. As long as it adds up to 6 or less, you are fine, right? So you can fill up your board. It's a pretty good effect. And she has the same skills all the other Lukiers, where when your rearguard is placed from your Soul, for that turn she gains plus 5k. Sorry, same as skill as Lukier reverse, not the regular Lukier. She only gains plus 3, which I get, of course, that's the skill you want to focus on. That plus 5k lets you push and gain extra power as you're doing your Marichka loops and stuff. So it's really important for that reason. And of course, also there's going to be a rank reward Lukier coming up, so y'all can look out for that. But yeah, so Lukier was very dominating, has been very dominating in Zero for a very long time, to be honest, and it's going to stay that way for quite a bit in Global. So look out for that, you know, make sure you're ready for this deck because it is going to come in like the wave. And speaking of waves, let's take a look at Maelstrom support in this set. So first things first, we have Marios. Marios is the starter for Maelstrom that kind of made this clan pretty good, simply because it lets you tutor and have really wacky grade 3 lineups, which is cool. Hold on, let me have a little bit of a drink. I'm still kind of recovering from commentating BSFO yesterday. Alright, so Mario says when it boosts and the attack hits a Vanguard, if it was the 3rd battle or more of that turn, you can look at the top 5 cards of your deck and add a Maelstrom from among them to your hand. And then you create a Maelstrom from outside of your deck and put it back into your deck. So you essentially, like, let's say you add a Glory Maelstrom, then a Glory Maelstrom gets created and put back into your deck with the same trigger that you placed on it. So if you check it, if you add a heal, the heal goes back and things like that. So it self-replaces while adding just basically tutoring for Maelstroms, which is really cool actually as an effect. So I think it's pretty good. You know, this effect is quite nice, and I think it did carry the clan a fair bit into this set as well, so it's quite nice. We have quite a few grade 1s actually. When plays during this turn, you can choose one of your Blue Storm, I believe it is. Blue Storm. Yeah, Maelstrom is Blue Storm Dragon. So this is, yeah. Rigor Circle when plays for that turn, give another Blue Storm unit. Doesn't actually say unit, just says give one of your blue storms plus 3k. It's alright. There's better like power dividers, I'd say. When this boosting the attack, it's a Vanguard count +1 and call a blue storm from your hand. This was not really used much, but it's a pretty cool card in concept. Then we have on play Soul Blast 2 to countercharge 2. This will be good. Definitely want to pick this up simply because it is a card that is very generic and might be used in future builds for Aqua Force, so definitely think it's a good rare to, you know, try to crack some packs for. And then finally we have the 10k attacker for Blue Storms. So again, if you want to play Blue Storm, you'll be supported archetype for very long. Maelstrom just gets support forever. I think it gets like 2 waves of support in G. It doesn't... I think Blue Storms even get a support wave in Legion, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not entirely sure, but that might be the case. So anyway, you know, they're not bad cards to pick up in this set whatsoever. Looking at the grade 2s, this is the Katos. During your turn, if you have a grade 3 in your hand, gain 3k. Interesting effect. Then this card is the Spiros. Once per turn, when it attacks the Vanguard and at the end of that battle, if it was the first or the second battle of that turn, count +1 and stand it. So in concept, I thought this card would be really good, but sadly in practice, it's been kind of meh, you know, just because the battle timing is so awkward to attack the Vanguard, right? Normally your first and your second battle are used on attacking rear guards, take out intercepts, and then this immediately locks itself out, which because it has to attack the Vanguard, so bit of a meh card. It's not really played that much. There's a 10k vanilla for Blue Storm, so you can have more Blue Storm units, and finally a 12k attacker for Blue Storms as well. So once again, if you like Blue Storms, if you like Maelstrom, then it's worth a pickup because it will be useful in the future. I'm just gonna say that much. All right, let's talk about grade 3s now. So this is the Diusandros, yeah, strong by Dice Kizuko, which is kind of surprising for a common. Once per turn, Rigor Circle when attacks the Vanguard at the end of the battle, if it was the first or second battle of that turn, count +1, stand him. So it's the same as the grade 2, same logic applies. You know, just weird timing wise. It was good in the TCG because you could just straight swing in the Vanguard, but here it's not that great. Vanguard Circle gains 4k, trash, sorry, it's really just not good. This is a pretty interesting card. A grade 3, Limerick 4 Vanguard Circle, when attacks the Vanguard, it was the 5th battle of that turn, draw 2. That's actually kind of cool, like a nice little like budget deck idea. And then Vanguard Circle, when this unit attacks, if it's the 3rd battle of that turn, then he gains +3k. So it's like it does something on, I guess, both battles, which is pretty interesting. Then there is a break ride for Blue Storms, which is the Demetrius. So when you break right over him, count +1, and then for that turn your Vanguard gets +10k in the following ability. When it attacks the Vanguard, if it's the 4th battle of that turn or more, you draw 2 and choose an opponent's rear guard and retire it. So kind of mimicking Maelstrom, but with draw 2 instead. This was used in the TCG. I can't remember if it was used immediately or forgot, like people waited a bit to use it. It's an interesting card, but it's not really necessary in Zero because you'd rather just sit on Maelstroms all the time and like self-damage yourself into Limit Break rather than wait and be locked for those like Limit Break or like actually break right turns, because things like reverse Maelstrom or Maelstrom reverse rather are just like worth to just jump into, right? So it is a cross ride with regular Maelstrom, and when attacks the Vanguard for that battle gains +3k, but the first skill is the most important one. Once per turn, Limerick 4, lock one of your own rear guards, just one, and then you for that turn gain the following ability. When it attacks, if it's the 4th or more battle of that turn, you get +5k in a crit, and at the end of that battle, you draw 1 and you retire an opponent's rear guard. So yes, it is quite literally just Maelstrom, except you now have to lock one of your own units as a trade-off, and instead, you know, for that trade-off, you get that extra critical, which regular Maelstrom does not have, therefore making it more aggressive and able to push more, which is cool. It's definitely a cool card, and it's nice that it works like that, because, you know, it's just nice. It's just very, very nice. And this deck was pretty viable for quite some time in Zero when it released in JP, at least for the month of this set. I think a little bit, like, it's still played. People, I think, still say it's like one of the better Aqua Force variants because it, like, you know, it's pretty explosive. I just think it has like some consistency issues, and that's what kind of annoys me about playing this deck too, is that like you're always like searching and pushing attacks to like search those grade 3s, and it always feels like they come a little bit too late, and it's just kind of awkward. So I'm looking forward to future support for Aqua Force as well. Hopefully they handle it well in Legion, because it did get quite a bit, but in Legion and TCG it was pretty doo-doo, so it's gonna have to be buffed a fair bit. Or, I mean, maybe if it works in Zero well, then that'll work well, so we'll see. Anyway, let's take a look at Bermuda Triangle now. So this one's gonna be interesting and probably take quite a while, but let's try to get through it quickly. So duos, you'll get to see that duos have, you know, it's the same card with two different arts. One is the light version, you know, light mode and dark mode, you know, much like Discord and YouTube and stuff. So let's take a look through the dark mode cards, I guess. So here we have the starter, put her into the soul to give a unit plus 3k. Yes, we're gonna skip that. Then we have the starter. When she boosts any attack hits a Vanguard, you can put her back into your hand. Ooh, interesting. I mean, I don't think this will be very useful because you have this starter, which says you can put her into the soul to choose one of your dual rear guards and put that unit and another rear guard that has the same name back into your hand. So you basically bounce two of the same card, activating their on bounce abilities. Boy, oh boys, there are a lot of cards. Look at how much stuff we have to take a look at. I'm gonna just stick to the dark mode card. So once per turn, this girl says when another rear guard is returned back to your hand, she gains plus 3k power. It's a shame this is a once per turn ability just because it only gains 9, but of course it will be very easily abusable. But because of this deck has no power gain, which is pretty sad, so quite unfortunate. Then when placed rear guard circle, if you have a duo Vanguard for that turn, all of your duo Rurus, so her, get plus 2k power, which is okay. Then we have the this is the Cheryl. When she's returned to hand, you can count +1 to soul charge 1, draw 1. This is quite good. I definitely remember this card being run for quite a while because it's just like count +1 to draw is always pretty nice. Of course, that was really good in the TCG because of the no hand limit, but in Zero you have a hand limit and therefore it's not that great. This, the Chikora, says when returned to hand, count +1. For that turn, one of the units gets plus 4k, and then if you have 3 or more Chikoras in your hand, countercharge 1. So it makes up that ability, and that's kind of like the main gimmick for this deck. I think this card was used for a bit, not too sure to be honest. Then we have the Uraru, sorry. When placed, Soul Blast 2 to draw 1. It's a nice card, you know, let's declare out your soul. It will be very important in Legion to like keep soul blasting out your Legion mates and stuff, to keep re-legioning and whatnot. This card as well, on place, Soul Blast 2 to countercharge 2, very good ability too. So you draw enough in this deck that people just run the countercharger. I think, you know, both cards that were played at some stage in the history of the game, so you know, it's worth to note that. Then we have this card, who is a 10k attacker for duo. No, sorry, Pacifica, for Pacifica. It's a duo, but it is Pacifica support, so let's keep that in mind. And then here we have the 10k attacker for duos. It's this one that was a 10k attacker. And of course, if it wouldn't be duos if the PG didn't come in both arts. So yeah, that sure is something. And then we have this card, was played a lot, which is Peace. Peace is when returned to hand from rear guard circle, if your Vanguard is a duo, count +1, draw 1, and then if you have 3 or more pieces in your hand, countercharge 1. So a free draw. It's very nice. In a TCG, this was very nice because of the no hand limit, so you could just like farm up a massive hand of like 15 cards and, you know, just kind of like chilling, vibing over there. But the problem is in TCG, there's a hand limit, so cards like this are by default not as great as they could be, which is kind of a shame, but it is what it is. Alright, now for grade 2s, this will be quite a few once again. This is the same card as the grade 1. Once per turn, one of the rear guards is returned to your hand. For that turn, gain 3k, but it's once per turn. So again, only 11k. It's just not really like nice when you don't have any kind of like power gainers in the deck, so it just kind of like falls flat sometimes when you're trying to push. This card is good. When returned to hand, soul charge 1, counter charge 1, so you can abuse this pretty well, you know, just to gain resources a lot. So for that reason, it's pretty nice. Then when placed, if your Vanguard is a duo, for that turn, all of your duo minims, which is her, gain 2k, so just like that grade 1 as well. Quite a few like duplicate effects, you know, between grade 1s and 2s. When placed, count +1, choose another rear guard and put it back into your hand. Pretty good. We've seen quite a few amazing like on bounce effects that like help you draw cards or counter charge or soul charge, so it's good in activating that for sure. Then this is when the attack hits, count +2, draw a card. Why did every other clan get this in double rare and Bermuda gets it in just rare? I don't know. Good question. Then we have the Thames? Yeah. When returned to hand, if your Vanguard is a duo, count +1, draw 1, and if you have 3 or more Thames in hand, countercharge 1. So just like Peace, but in grade 2 form, which is alright. It's definitely alright. Then this is Pacifica support, 12k attacker if you have a Pacifica Vanguard. She's pretty cute, even if she is Pacifica support, you know. I'm just kidding. And then this is the 12k attacker for if you have a dual Vanguard, so definitely going to be used. And finally, we have the Roan. This is probably the best card that you really want to pick up from this set for Bermudas. On rear guard circle, when an attack hits a Vanguard, count +1. This used to be in Vanguard circle too, but she's only in rear guard circle in 0. you choose one of your rear guards that are duo and add it back to your hand, and search your deck for the same card name as that card and add it to your hand. So basically, you can call down a PG, attack with her, hit, and then -1, bounce the PG back to hand, and then search your deck for another PG, and there you go. You got -1 to have 2 PGs in hand. It's pretty good. Filtering out your deck for PGs is pretty insane, and I think that that's kind of like the strongest part of this card, and kind of the thing that made duos pretty damn good back then. As you can see, I haven't really pulled much. I've pulled like one of each SP and no regular triples. I don't know how that happens, but it is what it is. So yeah, it's a pretty cool effect, you know, just being able to add PGs just like that on demand to your hand. I think it's a pretty nice effect. All right, but now we have to break down all the grade 3s as well. When it attacks, discard 1, gain 5k. It's okay. This is Vanguard Circle, gain 5k, and Vanguard Circle when placed, counterblast 2, draw 1, and choose a rear guard and one of your rear guards and bounce it back to hand. So it's only 10k, so it's not really something to write home about in my opinion. Then we have the Didi. When she attacks the Vanguard, counterblast 2, then choose one of your dual rear guards and add it back to your hand, and then search your deck for the card with the same name as that unit and call it. So basically you get to bounce 1 and call 1, so it makes 4 attacks, which is not too bad. With the break ride you can also make even more, which is nice. And during your turn, if you have 4 or more of the rear guards, then she gains 3k, so she's a 14k, boosted with 7, that's 21. Pretty damn nice just for those little attacks there. Then we have the Chow. Hello, Chow. At the beginning of your main phase, Limerick 4 Vanguard Circle, counterblast 1, and you can choose one of your dual rear guards and add it back to your hand. And then you search your deck for a card with the same name as that rear guard and add it to hand. So once again, it's just like Rowan. You basically get to search your deck for more PGs, you know, after bouncing one of them. And yeah, just filter your deck out for PGs. That's why this card is actually run in some of these dual lists. And then when your rear guard is returned back to your hand for that turn, gain 3k. This one does stack. The only problem is that then there's no multi-attack in the deck, so sad, unfortunate. But it's a pretty cool effect because it lets you kind of like set up those PGs and stuff, so it's quite nice. Then we have the Mirror Break Ride. This is a duo break ride. So when you break ride over it, you can give your Vanguard plus 10k and the following ability. Once per turn when it attacks, counterblast 1, and then you can choose any number of your rear guards and add them back to your hand, and then choose 2 cards from your hand and call them. And then Vanguard Circle during a turn, if you have 4 more rear guards, she gains plus 3k power. So she's decent, I want to say. Like, she's quite okay in the fact that, you know, she's counterblast 1 to just like make a massive extension in attacks. I think that is quite nice, and just being able to like, you know, because it says bounce any numbers. You can counterblast 1, just bounce your front rows and recall them, and then, you know, give trigger power to them and attack multiple times, so you get 5 attacks, which is quite good. So I think by essence the break ride isn't too bad, but you know, just the kind of things that it combines into aren't super great, and that's kind of the main thing. Here we have the Iori. She is another duo limit break card. So she is Soul Blast 1 and Persona Ride to choose one of your dual rear guards and add it back to your hand, and then search for 2 cards with the same name as that unit, add them to your hand. Once again, this is, you know, either you duplicate your pieces to set up for those like 3 or more conditions to like refund costs, or you just search PGs. Searching PGs is pretty cool and lets you do some cool things, and so we like that. And when she attacks the Vanguard, you can discard 2 duos with the same name, and if you do, she gains 5k in a crit, and on top of that you can counterblast 2 to give her 5k. So she's actually not a bad card, you know, because she lets you set up your hand, you know, just +2, I guess it's +1, because you have to Persona Ride, because you have to Persona Blast, but then you also bounce back to hand, so it's whatever, leave it, drop it. But she lets you gain a crit and power, which can be pretty nice in just pushing here and there. So people expected her to be a rank reward by now, but she hasn't been. We haven't had a Bermuda season in quite a while, and it feels like it's not coming at this rate because, you know, it's just been Gold Paladin Festival here and there, and it's coming up now again in GP. And then finally we have the cover card of the set, Rate. So Rate says, Limerick 4, once per turn when she attacks for that battle, she gains the following ability. At the end of the battle, counterblast 2, discard 2 duos with the same card name, and then she stands, you draw 2, and she gets plus 5k for that battle. Also, when she attacks the Vanguard, you can Soul Blast 1 and choose a dual rear guard and add it to your hand. So, you know, that second skill lets you trigger any on balance abilities, or just like put down your PGs to boost with, and then basically just like add them back to hand. It's pretty cool, but you know, you're mainly playing it for that restand skill, because combined with the break ride, you get to like bounce 2 cards and call them back out, and then the Vanguard restands. You get like 6 attacks in a turn, which sure, when your opponent's pushed to quite a bit of damage, is quite nice, but you sort of need to like actually push them first before you can go into that, so it does take a little bit of time to kind of progress into that state. But it is a pretty cool deck, and Rate was very popular, you know, in the TCG when this deck came out. In Zero, it was pretty popular when it came out too. I saw quite a lot of people playing it, so yeah, it's definitely quite cool. And that kind of wraps up this set. I think Bermudas, you know, they are their own build. Pacifica was actually quite nice and got some tops in the Vanguard Zero Championship as well. So Pacifica as a deck is pretty good. Duos are pretty decent. Glory, you know, Maelstrom was also very nice from this set. That character kind of fell flat, and Silverthorn was super meta defining. So it's a pretty meta defining set, I would say. Definitely quite a lot of things that you want to look out for if you're trying to play in tournaments. I know the Vanguard Zero Championship is coming up, I think, in July for Global. So, you know, that's going to be the last set of Limit Break. So that's going to be also pretty impactful in its own right. But this set is definitely one that you don't want to skip out on if you want to play something like Silverthorns. So make sure to pick them up if you are thinking about it. Anyway, though, thank you so much for watching, everyone. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the Bouchard Springfest Online Premium commentary as well. We have Standard as well as V Premium coming up this weekend. So, of course, you've got a lot of me to look forward to if you enjoy what you saw last weekend. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.